Hello, hello, hello. As an expert in people pleasing, today I'm going to teach you why you cannot say no without guilt. Can you relate to that? Is that something that you do? I know when I functioned as a people pleaser, anytime I had any sort of resistance from anyone, I was washed over with guilt. Guilt that I was wrong, guilt that I was bad, guilt that I just wasn't a good person because I couldn't show up for that person. So what would I do? I would do the thing. I would show up even if I was burnt out, right? Because everybody's a little bit different, but typically this comes from childhood conditioning. And it's generally when your nervous system, so our nervous system learned basically a majority of what it needed to know in our childhood up to a certain age. And so a lot of what we do as adults now is because it was conditioning from what our nervous system learned as an adult, okay, or as a child, excuse me. But we're doing them as an adult. So I don't know if you've ever caught yourself in the midst of something going like, why am I doing this? Because it's always how we've done it. And perhaps it's because it's how your family did it and your mom and maybe your grandma, right? This is like these conditions that come down through generations, which a lot of them can be so helpful and so good and so just beautiful to be able to pass down. But some of these are old habits, old systems, old wiring that does not serve us anymore and is actually harming you from living your best life. So the first step, if you just have the hardest time saying no to people, no matter the situation, even if you are completely tired, you are running out of fuel. The first step is to admit you are a people pleaser. It may not be full-blown people pleasing, but when you say no and guilt immediately arises, therefore you go ahead and just never say no. You just keep signing up and you're running like a ragamuffin. You know that something is off in your nervous system. Okay. So typically what happened is that somewhere in your childhood you were taught and or shown, like a lot of the time, these systems that your nervous system picks up on and repeats over and over and over and over is because you were somehow taught it through a weird loophole of how others treated you. But also it can be that you literally witnessed your own mother or grandmother or caregiver doing this sort of behavior and you embodied it. Okay. So like, especially as like feminine essences, females, even if you're a very like get her done kind of woman, when you're a child, you absorb so much of their energy and how they are going about their life and what's working for them, because it doesn't make sense as a child. It doesn't make sense. You can't reason, you can't understand the systems or the behaviors that your parents are doing. If they're extreme, obviously, as a kid, you're worried or you're scared. But typically, with the smaller things, you just go along with it, right? So, somewhere along the way, your nervous system learned that compliance and saying yes equals safety. So, I don't know, that may have been something in your childhood where you had a parent or a caregiver that literally would get angry if you said no. Like if they were like, go clean your room and you're like, can I do it in a minute? And that was like an absolute, you will not. Okay. I mean, it could have been that you lived with a loving parent that was very, very, very strict. And so you weren't allowed to have like any form of like flexibility with any form of scheduling or ideas or anything. When they actually said do the thing or asked you to do something, it was like attention, right? So that in your body and your nervous system definitely created a system of safety. When I comply, when I say yes, when I do the thing right now, I will be loved. Okay. That's just one example. But what that does is it completely takes away the threat response, right? So now as an adult, you know how to basically calm your nervous system by saying yes. So you would rather deal with the exhaustion, with the frustration. My dog's in the back and just sneezed. So if you heard something weird, she's laying down. She's napping. She's an old lady. If you have learned that it's actually easy to overtax yourself because mentally you think you can handle that, but you cannot handle mentally being in trouble or getting in trouble by someone or having someone angry at you, because that to you feels like they will no longer love you. Which then feels like severe guilt when you say no, which then for your nervous system turns into complete rejection. So even if the person is not rejecting you, even if they're just like, oh, okay, that's not actual rejection, but you deep down in that nervous system think that it is. So what to do in this situation is number one, to just recognize you're a people pleaser, recognize that this is a system that is running the course of what's happening. That this is something that you are seeing in yourself as a repeat problem. And this time, I just want you to write down or contemplate from this video. I just want you to become aware. Just become aware and be like, where am I over giving all the time? Because I can't say no. So journal about that. That's all I want you to do this time. That's all I want you to do, because that alone opens the door and makes you so aware of where you are not saying no because you are afraid of being rejected or not loved or not seen. Okay. So go journal a little bit, see what comes out, see what scenarios come up that you like had no idea of, or see the pattern, and pay attention definitely if it's in a certain situation, like at a school and or with certain people. Most likely family members are the worst, like because they're just so close to your heart, right? And so we keep them so close and we don't want to upset them, and or they're the people that created a bit of that nervous system pattern. So it's going to be a little bit harder to undo, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. So go ahead and just go make some notes. And in a couple days, I'm going to give you the next steps. Okay. So let me see. I think that's all we have for you today, but have a wonderful day and we'll see you next time. Bye.